Yeah, hi everybody. Greetings from National Skills Network. This is Madhuri here, along with a very eminent industry veteran and chairman of Automotive Skill Development Council. We are very happy to have you, Mr. Nikunj Sangi, with us today for this skill talk. I'm so glad to congratulate you also on the completion of 10 years of ASDC, a very important sector skill council. So on behalf of the team, the entire team from NSN, hearty congratulations to you and your team. So
Thank you
let's get
so much,
started.
Madhuri.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I'm extremely happy to be with you. And yes, it's a milestone that we have achieved, and it couldn't have been achieved without the support of everybody, including NSN. I think NSN has played a very key role in making people aware about what Automotive Skill Development Council is doing. So I'm grateful to you and your team for keeping us in the focus.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot to us, all the encouragement and support. And having met you a couple of times, I am really happy that I have been able to interact with you personally and learn quite a lot. So today in this short conversation, I've got few questions for you. The first and most important is the current industry scenario. We are all talking about electric vehicles. The government is talking about phasing out of old vehicles and then, trying to create new skills and new jobs. So in this context, where are we and how is the how are the skilling initiatives happening at this point?
Madhuri, automotive has always been very dynamic and has seen changes since automobiles actually started coming on roads. But what is happening in the last 5 years is a change at a speed which I don't think anybody anticipated. And the situation is extremely dynamic, extremely volatile, and is going in through thoughts of change. A lot of changes coming because of regulations, because of policies, and also because of new technology which is now available. Change is also coming in because of the user behavior, the preferences that the user has. And I think for the automotive industry to remain relevant, we will need to keep pace with that dynamism. And I think it's in that context that Automotive Skill Development Council will have to keep emerging, will have to keep evolving itself so that it is able to give industry what is required to handle the speed of change.
So where do you think this is going to impact a lot? Like, for example, is it in the services sector or for the dealership, or where do you think these changes are going to impact? And what are the new skills, if you can list out few of them, maybe, which are going to be very prominent in the industry in the coming months or so?
So, Madhuri, it's going to impact the entire ecosystem. So, and I think dealerships are the last. It starts from component manufacturing to vehicle manufacturing. And finally, of course, dealerships both at the sales and service end. I think what is coming in manufacturing is a lot of automation, a lot of robotics, a lot of machine learning, a lot of artificial intelligence. And I think these are the areas where skilling will really be required. So, and the shift is very fast. And I think what the pandemic has done is only accentuated the speed at which the change is coming in. So I think what needs to be done is to, and what Automotive Skill Development Council in fact anticipated and did was to, about 2 years back, we probably the only sector skill council which went into a skill gap analysis. Skill gap analysis, not just as on date, but the skill gap analysis as would occur over the next 1 decade. And EY did that study for us, and that report was presented to the industry and to the government about 6 months before the pandemic struck the country. And I think it did emerge that while automation and robotics might change the quantum of jobs in skills which were earlier present, but the number of jobs would increase dramatically because of the new skills which would be required. So the challenge was one, to upskill, to reskill a lot of existing manpower so that they remain relevant for the industry, and also to ensure that the industry does not suffer for want of skilled manpower. So what was required of us was to be flexible, to be open to a lot of collaborations with the industry, a lot of collaborations with new technology partners, and a lot of collaborations with even technology partners like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, which are going to impact the way the business was being done. And the good thing that happened with ASDC was that we were able to, probably at the right time, start partnering almost everybody in the ecosystem, including some collaborations across continents. And I think we partnered with the UK government through DFID, specifically for EVs, not just giving us content, not just giving us the way forward, but also giving us train the trainer programs. Of course, all that had to be done digitally. What ASDC also did was, seeing the advent of EVs, we realized that we did not have in our governing council representation from EV manufacturers. And we got that representation almost 2 years back. So we now have EV partners on board. And it was essential to have them on board to understand what they would require and how ASDC could fulfill the gaps that did occur in the skill ecosystem.
Okay. So besides this, this was a very good elaboration of the current scenario and your partnerships. So besides this, if we look at, let's say, auto manufacturing, automotive maintenance, servicing, and dealership, in all these different segments, are we still going to be at the, let's say, NSQF level 3, 4, 5 type of skilling, or is the focus going to go into higher levels, because we are talking about industry 4.0? So do you see some kind of a transition happening to higher levels of skilling as well?
So I will not call it transition. I would say going up the ladder. So which means that what we are doing at level 3, 4, 5 will continue, because bottom of the pyramid is extremely important, because that is where the major manpower requirement is. But yes, we are graduating on to 7, 8, 9 level. We are getting into R&D. We are getting into partnering with a lot of skilling universities, a lot of academic institutions, to see that even at the higher level, we are able to get manpower, which would be required by the industry, specifically in terms of R&D. And I think R&D is going to be a big focus over the next 1 decade because of the transition which is happening. Yeah. So ASDC is definitely seized of the fact that we cannot now operate only at the bottom of the pyramid. We will need to scale up, and we will need to go up the ladder and look at 7, 8, 9. I think we have started getting into QPs of that level. A lot of QPs are under preparation. We have a specific expert group devoted only to R&D, and I think that is the group which is focusing most on the higher skill levels.
That's really heartening to hear, sir. I think this is something other sector skill councils also should be taking up. Like I was just telling you, ASDC, as we from NSN believe, going through your website or keeping ourselves updated, seems to be the ideal sector skill council in terms of communicating, in terms of updating all your activities. So we feel some of the things can be replicated in other sector skill councils also, in terms of the regular updates and telling people what's happening in the industry. Because as you said, sir, in the beginning, creating awareness is much needed in this sector. So another important observation we have from NSN about ASDC is we are also very tech savvy and digitally empowered, I would say, because ASDC seems to adopt technology as and when it's happening with a very futuristic kind of vision, I would say. So where do you see the training going now that we have post-COVID, we are into digital blended learning and many other things? So how do you think this is going to be accomplished? Is it going to go this way, or are we all going to go back to the classrooms?
So I don't think, Madhuri, we will ever go back to what we were, because the change which has happened in the last 1 year,
Yeah.
a lot of that change is not going to be reversible, and not just because of reasons like COVID, but the fact that we have realized that the change which has come is probably good for the industry. It has brought down costs. It has widened our reach. It has widened our reach to the remotest corners of the country. So I think phygital or blended learning is definitely the future, and the amount of digital content is going to grow dramatically, really dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think realizing that what ASDC did, I think it was a premonition. Maybe I would say it was a blessing for ASDC that almost 2.5 years back we started talking to TCS Eon about becoming a technology partner. The technology partner, not in terms of just assessments, which is their forte. They are the ones who do all the joint entrance exams. They are the ones who do all the Public Services Commission exams and assessments. I think what we did with TCS was to create a learning hub, a digital learning hub, which would be there on our website, and that digital learning hub would be available to the entire ecosystem. And when I talk of the entire ecosystem, it's not just the students. It would be available to training partners, it would be available to trainers, it would be available to industry. And to make that possible, while there was a lot of content development which is taking place through TCS with professionals, I think I should appreciate our industry partners, because almost all industries, all OEMs have come forward in sharing the digital content that they already have. And we have started hosting a lot of that digital content on our website. And the good part is that quite a lot of that content is available free of cost. So people will not feel the pinch of this digital content. Only some part of it will be paid, and that also will be extremely nominal so that it is affordable to everybody in the system.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that we did about technology was to build an ecosystem where we would have an end-to-end connection. So we have developed a listing platform, again with the help of TCS Eon, where there'll be students, there'll be prospective trainees, there'll be training partners, there'll be assessing partners, there'll be industry. So if the industry is posting jobs, not just for today, but even for future, they will be specifying the job roles where they think vacancies will come in. They will be specifying geographies where those jobs will come in. And they will also be specifying the quantum of the jobs that will be required. So that will be a very big tool for training partners to undertake only those trainings which will be required in the geography where they are located. In the past, we have seen a lot of our certified students were not getting jobs because we had certified too many of them in roles which were not really required. And training partners were doing trainings which were the easiest to do. So we said that we will need to have trainings which would be demand driven and not supply driven. And that listing platform today, if a student wants to say where he wants to get skilled and what are the skills which are required, he can actually go to the listing platform and see the geographies where the skills are required, identify training partners in those geographies, and then choose the course that he would like to do. I think the pilot of this listing platform will be launched very soon, probably in April. And it would have been launched earlier, but for the pandemic. And that will be a completely evolving platform. Again, the user charges are going to be extremely nominal. And most of the time, the user charges will be recovered more from the industry than the people who are seeking jobs. I think it will be a super Naukri.com or timesjob.com for automotive industry. For automotive industry, it will be a one-stop shop where jobs are required, skilling is required, training is required.
Okay, this is something really great, sir. So nice to hear. And I think this also now connects with, like you mentioned, demand driven. We are also talking about district level skilling through Sankalp and these other schemes which have come up, and particularly the focus of schemes like PMKVY to be more district driven, demand driven. So in that context, this platform, do you think it will also cater to those needs and help people identify jobs which are closer to their places?
Definitely. See, Madhuri, it is important specifically, and I keep coming back to bottom of the pyramid. So people who are starting their careers at the bottom of the pyramid, for them to change their domicile is extremely difficult.
Right.
It is also extremely expensive. So if we could create an ecosystem where people start getting jobs in their areas of domicile, there could be nothing better than that. They will not be displaced. They will be with their families. And for them, it will be probably best commercial and economic sense. So I think that's the kind of ecosystem we are trying to create. I know it's not going to be easy. It's a far cry, but we have started job, and I'm happy with the progress that we have made in spite of the pandemic. I think it will be a very, very big tool available. Again, I said to the entire ecosystem, not just to people who are seeking jobs, for training partners to identify what trainings they need to do, the quantum of trainings they need to do, and for employers to find people where they want.
Yeah. So another important question, which I think will help many people, especially the sector skill councils, would be the secret of your success. So I would ask you now to tell us about how do you manage very good industry partnerships, industry members, I mean, to be a part of your governing council or any of the industry bodies, and, you know, keep them engaged. That would be the thing, because we see a lot of them being parts of being members of other sector skill councils also, but the engagement level might vary. So this is the first one. And how do you make sure that you do the same thing with academic institutions as well, because these are the two important areas where the SSC has to be very active and engaged. So please share the secret.
There is no secret, Madhuri. I think all that we did was to keep ourselves grounded and to actually go to the core of the reason, the objective why the sector skill councils were created. And also the fact to make the industry realize that the sector skill council was not a body outside them. It was a body which was created and owned by the industry. So Automotive Skill Development Council is not an outsider. Automotive Skill Development Council is a part of the entire ecosystem. So we have three principal associations, starting from ECMA, which are the component manufacturers, SIAM, which are the automobile manufacturers, and FADA, which are the front end of the industry selling and servicing vehicles. And we are a part of all three of them. And I think how we are keeping them engaged is to not tell them, but listen to them. And when we listen to them, we try and do what they want and not tell them what we are doing. We try and do what the industry wants us to do. And I think when you do that, then the collaboration increases. We realized that unless the industry was on board, unless the industry was partnering with the Sector Skill Council, unless the industry felt that it owned the Sector Skill Council, we would never be successful. Because if I am designing content, if I am reviewing a content, I'm not competent to do it unless the industry partners with me. So we have been able to create expert groups for R&D, for manufacturing, for servicing, for sales, for EVs, and the expert groups are drawn from the industry. So they are the ones who review content, they are the ones who tell us what needs to change. And I think we have very successfully reviewed all the QPs. A lot of QPs have been given to the government. We have already received almost 25 of them duly approved. So we are updated with what the industry wants today. And this is only possible if the industry is a part of us. The second thing that we ensured was that it was extremely important that we also keep engaged with the government and the entire ecosystem. So whether it was our parent ministry is DHI, the Ministry of Heavy Industries, which is what created us, our MSDE, which creates the entire skilling ecosystem, NSDC, which is the umbrella under which all the sector skill councils exist, and finally MORTH, which is the Ministry of Road Transport, which is the controlling industry for us. So we ensured that our governing council was represented by all four of them. We ensured that they became a part of the ecosystem. We ensured that they never had to come to us to ask what was happening because they were a part of the governing council. They were a part of the decision making. And we kept listening to them, kept taking guidelines from them and kept pace with the changes which were happening in the skilling ecosystem. So collaboration was our approach. Working as a team was our approach. And we are blessed that we have a fantastic team of people within ASDC who are all They started as of new, they started from scratch, but they are dedicated, they are sincere, they are devoted. They are devoted to the cause of skilling, and they passionately believe in what they are doing.
Yeah. So what about the academic institutions, sir?
So I think that's a very important part. Again, I think we started talking to academic institutions long back, and we started telling them that unless you have people who are industry ready, it will be difficult to find jobs. And we started inviting the academia to participate with us. So could you start 2 additional credits? So please keep doing what you are doing, but could you start doing 2 additional credits like mechatronics? Can mechatronics be introduced at the academic level? Because mechatronics is the future. So there's no pure mechanical, there is no pure electronics, there is no pure electrical. The vehicles, since they are going to be connected, they are going to be autonomous, they are going to be electric. I think mechatronics was the future. And the academic institutions have come forward, have partnered with us, have done programs with us. And I think the way forward is that our collaboration with academic institutions will only increase, will only improve. And as long as we ensure that we are giving them relevant courses, as long as that we ensure that people who qualify out of these courses find jobs, I don't see this collaboration not being successful.
Great, sir. So I think the main learning here is the word collaboration, which I think you are really implementing in the truest sense of the word. We can see that happening whenever we see your activities. That's a big learning, sir, and to make it happen. So besides all these that you've just shared with us, is there something you would like to share with our audience?
So I think one very important thing that I would like to share is our partnership with technology companies.
Mm-hmm.
I think during the pandemic, we realized that it was extremely important to reach out to them and to partner with them to reach out to the remotest corners of the country. So we started talking to Google, we started talking to Facebook, and we started talking to Microsoft. Now, these are 3 giants in this technology space. And we started talking to them about getting us the digital contents, giving us experts which would digitally reach every dealership, every service center, every small manufacturing unit, and start sharing their knowledge digitally. The second success that we definitely also got was that all the technology partners were extremely cooperative, and Google, they are the first ones that we launched the program with, are doing it free of cost. And they are doing it not just in English, they are promised to do it in vernacular too. So our first courses that we have been launched in both English and Hindi, because we understood that unless we go vernacular, we will actually not be touching the people who really require skilling. Going forward, we will be doing it in almost all languages. Our partnership with Facebook is through. We just need to launch it, and I think we are just waiting. We don't do too much at the same time. Once Google is settled a bit, I think we will start with Facebook and then Microsoft. So I think this technology reach probably is going to be the biggest and the deepest anywhere in the world that we have been able to achieve, and all because we got support from all these 3 companies, and we look forward to working with them, to collaborating with them.
This is really great news, sir, because technology has already disrupted many things, and it's definitely going to change the way we are going to learn and skill. So thanks a lot, sir, for sharing all the information and telling us and sharing your insights from the industry. We are very happy to have this conversation with you. Thanks a lot. And I would like to be in touch with you for maybe future conversations as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhuri, for having me. And thank you so much for giving our message to the world. You have always been very, very helpful in making awareness about our Sector Skill Council. I look forward to collaborating with you. I look forward to being in touch with you on a regular basis.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.